Hey, it's Jill here. It is today o'clock, the 22nd. This is the eighth insight, the second to last insight. Hey Abby, this this insight. Oh, the chapter is called Interpersonal Ethic. Interpersonal ethic. Abby, it looks like you got some great stuff going on where you be at, and I'm loving that. I'm accepting you, Brandon. Here we go. Hey, what's happening?
Hey,
How you
what's
feeling?
up? Good. Just finishing up some work. How about you?
Same, pretty much same. The never-ending
Yes,
work.
yes, ma'am.
Anita Rein in the house.
Yeah.
I usually have to accept it twice for some reason, but
Oh,
I'm adding her in. Thank you. It says sorry. I don't like that it says sorry I'm hip hop, but I like the hip hop part. So for that. I'm trying to add Anita Brain. I think there's another way I can do this. Well, now it says invited. I'm going to cancel it and invite her again. Okay, I'm adding in Anita Rain, and then we'll jump right into this very long chapter. I think it was the longest chapter.
yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Wow, I might just if she's not getting, if I'm trying to accept her. If she can't get in, I might end it for a second and
Yeah, and then we
get
start
back
it
up
all.
because I don't know.
I like the earrings. Are those the ones that you made?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on updating my site. Hey,
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 hey, hey.
how's it going?
pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to see that great smile. Okay, I think we should jump in because this kind of seems like a long one, right? I think it was one of the longest chapters by page.
Yeah.
Okay. Any starting initial thoughts or feelings we have to share, or shall I dive in?
You can
I'm
dive
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say go ahead.
Alrighty. So, chapter 8, we got one more chapter. So, at the end of the last chapter, the narrator was being transported from one prison to the next, or something like that, we assume. And he's having these visions of escaping with Majorie. So they put him and Majorie in the back of a Jeep, the security guards or whatever. And the narrator's noticing that they still have a very energetically charged connection where they're very drawn to each other. They're like being around each other. It makes the other person feel good. We've all been there, right? So they they get to some crossroads, and the narrator's looking down this road that he noticed kind of comes to life to him. And then an explosion happens, and following his instincts, he grabs Majorie and he tells her, let's run down this street that he was looking at. They run down the street, and then they run into an open door or an unlocked door into someone named Carla's house. Carla and Moretta, the daughter, the mom and the daughter, assumingly. So Moretta actually is up to the eighth insight, and she had a friend a year or so ago, where they started getting into it. But 2 months ago, the friend she was studying the insights with was taken away by the soldiers. But she still wanted to push for the mission of the manuscript, so she was envisioning helping out however she could. But she's also aware of her situation, being that she has someone she's looking after, Moretta. But Moretta, she's like, I was kind of expecting you guys. So she hides them in her car. She takes her daughter Moretta with her in the car, and they start driving. So on the road, I think it's Majorie comments on how mature she thinks Moretta is, but instead of addressing Moretta directly, she says it to Carla, and that's when Carla goes into the start of the 8th insight, where we have to make sure we allocate the right amount of energy to children, being that they're in a very sensitive, energetic place. They're growing. They need the love and attention. And we've talked about before, I think, where infants, little small babies, will literally die if they are not picked up and held, and given that attention and love. So, that process happens, throughout the whole childhood life. So Majorie then says, I'm sorry. She addresses Moretta as she would anyone else. And Carla goes into how we have to find a way to try not to lie to children when they're curious about things, but put it in a way that they can understand, which I think is a common topic they talk about, is trying to figure out a way to say what we know or a message we have in a language that the receiver can understand. So you gotta find out how to do that with kids. Okay, I'm gonna try to go through the story and then talk about the extra stuff. I think that's a better way to do it. So they're driving to Iquitos because that's where the narrator thinks he's gonna find Will, who's looking for the knife insight. And Carla stops at her friend's house, Hinton. But at first, Hinton is very hesitant to let them in. But then Julia is apparently already at the house. She sees the narrator. She tells Hinton, oh, they're fine, let them in. So he lets them in. So Julia and the narrator start talking, but Julia notices, even though Majorie's in a different room, the narrator's energy is latched on to Majorie in a way where his energy is just being drained, like sucked out of him and going straight to her, because he's so worried about what she's got going on, what's going to happen to her, because he knows he needs to go to Iquitos to find out what's up with Will, but she's only on the 3rd insight, I think still, and clearly isn't in an emotional state to continue with this dangerous path that the narrator is on. So the narrator is trying to come to terms with, it probably is better for Majorie to go home, but he likes how she makes him feel. They're in that addicted state where they're not acting as, one of them described it, they're not acting as 2 whole letters. They're acting as 2 halves that when they come together, it makes them feel so good because they're only half. They're using the other person to fill that empty half instead of trying to stay secure to the source energy and filling up on both whatever masculine and feminine energies you need within yourself to balance. And that's something Carla talked about too, where we try to get the energy from the parent depending on whichever energy needs more. It's hard to kind of say it without confusing gender but feminine and masculine, not necessarily man and woman. So even if, like me, I'm a little less feminine and have a little more masculine energy in me. So I wouldn't just want to go to my dad for masculine energy. I'd also want to go to my mom for a good amount of feminine energy as well. Okay, back to the story. So the narrator is connected to Majorie. They go to bed. The next day, the narrator goes and gets reconnected to the source energy. He has a vision of traveling to Iquitos with Julia, but then separating as soon as they get there. He sees Majorie. He's telling Majorie she should go with Julia's friend named Orlando back to Brazil, and then that'll help her find an easier way to get back to the United States. And now she's more accepting of it. I think in the last chapter, he was telling her she should go back, and she had an outburst and walked away. But now she's a little more accepting. But yeah, he tells her he can't go with her, but he'll call her when he gets there. But he's now aware that he's addicted to her. So the best thing for him to do realistically is to just break it off. Not break it off, but I like to say cut the cord. Cut the cord, get your cord attached to source so that when you come together with Majorie, you are 2 wholes connected to your separate sources rather than trying to be all looped up in each other. Okay, so Julia and the narrator get in the car to go to Iquitos. Majorie goes with Rolando back to Brazil to get back to the States. So the narrator is saying he still doesn't really understand the eighth insight. The part where if someone's coming at me being the intimidator with their control drama, how do I not fall into that? Or how am I supposed to make you aware of it without, playing into it? And I think she thinks about it, or he asked the question, and then as soon as he asks it, she sees some pit stop market gas station kind of thing that she feels like she should stop at, which I thought was a very interesting. I guess it's a little more obvious in these chapters when they need to stop for something to happen related to the insight, where back then it was more like story. So they stop at a gas station. Julia goes inside. The narrator gets out of the car, stretches his legs, and then a man comes up to him very aggressively, like, "Oh, who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you here?" And at first, the narrator is kind of trying to play aloof, I'm just standing here, mind my business. But the man continues, so the narrator tries to just go back to the car. And he says he starts feeling anxious and nervous. So then Julia comes out of the store, and she asks the guy, "Hey, why are you so angry?" Trying to make him aware of his state and, hoping it changes him. So Julia, something she mentions later too, she was very honest. She said they're trying to help some Father Sanchez and Father Carl, basically. She mentions them, that they're trying to help them with their work, basically. So the man seems a little more not alerted or like insecure. He says he like, "Oh, I'm the one who has to guard this place, and I don't know what y'all are doing here, so that's why I came aggressive." But it's like, okay, well, we're just stopping in for gas and supplies that you don't have. So they went about their way. And then Julia's like, "Okay, so now did you see more about the eighth insight?" And at first the narrator is he doesn't understand it fully. It's hard to see things when you're in it. And he said something that I wrote down that I wanted to say out loud. When they started talking about how the narrator played in the control drama, he thought to himself, "The conversation was irritating me, but I tried to get centered and stay with it." And I think that's a really important thing. There's going to be the moment where people, especially once you're aware of your control drama and you don't want to play into it anymore, there's going to be people who's going to come to you and start to tell you about it, which is going to be hard for you to hear those things about yourself or maybe even agree with at first. But if you can take kind of a backseat, not take it personal, which can be really hard, but look at it from a more objective point of view, you can help understand how you get energy from people or how people feel you're getting energy from them. And they have a way later to better exchange energy that I'll talk about. Okay, so yeah, so the goal is to name the drama. Don't try to match the energy. If Julia came and tried to be big and tough, "Oh, we can be here if we want," who knows how much that conflict might have escalated, and sometimes that can be violent. So Julia is saying we should stop at the Stewart Inn. It's a place 30 miles outside of Iquitos. And it's funny because it's a different person named Willie Stewart that she's talking about, she's looking for at the inn as they're on their way looking for Will. So I thought that was interesting because the person who wrote the book could have used mad different names in the world, but he used Will twice. And they both can't be found at this time. So I thought that was interesting. So Willie's not at the spot, but Julia's like, "You know what? We're going in. It doesn't matter." And I think it's interesting how aggressive Julia was in these next few moments because they sit down at, like, I guess the cafe part of the inn. Some people walk in, and then the narrator keeps having, I guess, accidental, or coincidental eye contact with someone to the point where he's not catching someone staring at him, But as he turns his head, he sees the other person turn his head at the same time. They make eye contact, and then they both look away. I think it happens twice. And by the second time, Julia's like, you must go over there and talk to that man, because the narrator is being so aloof and I guess rather disconnected from the energy, because he's telling himself, oh, I have to build up my energy. I have to build up my energy because he needs to go over there. But that's part of the insight too, is being able to build up your energy in a way that you have enough to give to others. So even if it doesn't seem like there's something specific to say, once you go into the conversation, things should hopefully start changing. I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So his name is Professor Edmund. He was supposed to meet with Dodson, but Dobson had already got arrested, as the narrator saw. So then Father Sanchez ends up coming to the inn. The narrator is all types of ecstatic. He's so happy. Oh my God, he found her sign. And that's when they sit down and they have the conscious conversation where whoever's talking in the group, the other two parties are concentrating their energy. They're filling them up. Then when the energy changes to someone else, they follow it. And then when the energy is with themselves, they're aware of it, they're alert, and they're sharing whatever is on their mind, on their heart at the time, just to keep the flow of the conversation going. So Father Sanchez also mentions that Father Costus, who was the head guard or whatever, the head father at the prison the narrator was at, when they had the conflict of the narrator trying to ask him why he's upset about it, but he's like, are you joking, kind of thing. So Julia's having visions where she needs to be at the Celestine ruins, and the narrator encourages Father Sanchez to kind of accept the fact that he should also be the one to talk to Cardinal Sebastian, who's like the top dog, head honcho, leading the suppression mission of the manuscript. But Father Sanchez accepts that he's the one that needs to help change his mind and better the situation. So they're going to go to Iquitos. Do y'all have any things to say? I feel like I talk a lot.
I think like a couple things came to mind in my like personal life in regards to this chapter, or even the book as a whole. Like I understand like when you see someone that looks familiar, or if you like keep looking at someone, they keep looking at you. I think sometimes it is just a coincidence. Like I know sometimes it is on purpose, but like I think sometimes it really just is a coincidence. Because I remember one time I was on this hike. I was looking at this guy and he was looking at me and I'm like, you look really familiar. He's like, you look really familiar. And he asked me, is your name Nicole? I'm like, no, but that's my sister's name. And we were talking and like trying to figure out like how we could maybe know each other, or maybe if he knew my sister. And like we didn't come to any conclusion at all. Like we finished the hike together, like just, with each other's company. Nothing more than that. But yeah, we didn't really come to anything. It was just like, oh, okay, we just looked familiar to each other and that was that.
Okay.
But I think there's definitely times where like people like and like this goes for like friends and even some family members, that like there are people put in your life for a reason, even if it's for a moment or a season or whatever it is,
Right.
They're put in your life for a reason. Maybe you need to learn something from them, maybe they need to learn something from you, maybe you just need to like lean on each other, not meaning like codependent, but like, lean on each other a little bit during that time or whatever it is. But I think there's definitely like, I believe like everything happens for a reason. I know not everyone does, but I do believe that.
I feel you. That makes me think maybe that's why. Maybe you needed a buddy, but you didn't know you needed a buddy to finish that hike where you saw that guy.
Yeah, like maybe I would have got lost on my own, or
Right.
like maybe I would have fallen or something. Like who knows?
Right. And Julia, I'm pretty sure it's Julia. She says that if you have that situation where you seem familiar, but you don't think any message or anything was exchanged, if you see them again, then that's how you know, like, okay, so something's not done or something does need to be said. But if they don't keep popping up, but also you don't know what that experience might have did for him, like maybe later he found a Nicole or something, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Brandon, you back? You all right?
Yeah. That's the Wi-Fi. Just clipping in and out.
Wait, I don't see
So,
him. Wait.
Oh, you don't
oh.
see him.
No.
Well, he's in
I
here.
can hear you, Brandon, but I don't see you. That's so weird. Okay.
That's all that matters.
I feel like there's a retrograde. Um. Okay, so I guess the first thing I want to talk about is masculine and feminine energies. Do y'all have anything that you do where you're like, I want to get into my masculine energy, so you do this, or I want to get into my feminine energy, so you do that?
um, I feel like I have those like tug and pulls. I used to call them like quiet days. Like I don't know. I'll say every once in a blue moon, I'm like very introspective and like I get more artsy. Like I just noticed that I want to draw more or like sing more. And then like when I feel
So
like
this is you tapping into the feminine.
yeah.
Okay.
So like whenever I feel like I'm doing too much or like I'm exerting too much energy, I'll feel like, okay, let me take a day to myself to like take care of myself, and that's when I feel like more artistic. And then I notice like when I'm too into my feelings, that's when I'm like, all right, let me go outside, let me go. So I'll tap into that and do stuff like that. Like I'll play out with the dogs. I work with the dogs. It'll keep me like grounded and stuff, and like it'll keep me, making sure that like my needs are met. Like I guess dealing with dogs, like they try to make sure their needs are met. So it's like we have to come to now butting heads, but making sure we're both hurt at the same time. So that's where like that masculine energy like kind of plays in for me.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle. You have any?
So I kind of struggle with the masculine feminine thing because I'm like, what is a masculine trait? What is a feminine trait? Like, I think like I don't want to like ascribe certain things to each, but when it comes down to it, like I guess I would associate more of like strength and confidence with like the masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get that from like working out or doing things to like make myself feel good. Like it's funny because like dressing in like what people might consider like a feminine outfit and like doing my makeup and everything kind of like brings out the masculine energy because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm confident and sexy. Like I
Yeah.
would say like yeah, working out or like doing up my outfit and makeup and all that.
Nice.
Bring
Okay.
out the masculine.
Mm.
Oops.
I have a question. I have a question for
At the
y'all.
same time.
Now that I was like,
What's your question?
I was thinking like, would you say that like an expression of like equal feminine and masculine would be like when you introspectively have your thoughts on like how you want to be better, like that's the feminine side trying to nurture that like emotional care, and then putting it into action is when the masculine side comes into play. What would you say about that?
Yeah, or even trying to plan it out. That
Yeah.
would be a masculine thing. So I actually was looking it up, and I have this a little reference list here. So they have masculine, left brain, always doing, risky, logical thinking, decisive in action rushing through the process. Now, I don't think it's as much rushing as if you have the steps pre-planned, you all kind of always know what you just did and
What
what's
you
next.
mm-hmm.
Whereas the feminine energy is more free flowing, go with the feel, so it can seem
Mm.
like
I don't know how I feel about this.
it's not necessarily man and woman. It's masculine
Yeah.
and feminine energy.
Interesting is all I'll say.
Why? Do you want to say why?
um, no, I don't know enough about masculine and feminine energy to really comment too much. Just hearing it is making me question it, but I would have to do my own research on it to really say more.
Okay. So yeah, the feminine energy is more right brain. It's more intuitive, feeling as being compassionate, understanding, calm, receptive, and nurturing and connection. So I think that's personally, I think it's a pretty fair list.
Yeah. I say, what if we use the words yin and yang? Because they're the same thing. I think the way masculine and feminine came into each side is like what we naturally come out as, like the way our energies come out as a male or a female. Like, so the pattern happened. Like males were like, they say guys die faster because we're always trying to risk our life to go do something crazy. Where like the feminine side is
I never heard that, but
And
now I've heard it.
diamonds make you live longer. So when you give a woman a diamond ring, she's now crystallized to live longer.
Wait, what?
Yeah, diamonds make you live longer.
I've never heard either of these things.
I always say these sayings came from somewhere. They came from somewhere. I don't know how.
Diamond is a crystal. It has healing properties as well.
Right? That's why I
Yeah,
only give it
yeah.
out on special
True,
occasions.
true.
All right, so a lot of the stuff I just looked up. I'm not good with feminine and masculine balancing. Which one is yin? Is feminine?
Yeah.
And the yang is masculine. So the feminine is also more receptive and projective, which I get. I guess sending energy and receiving energy. Mm-hmm. Receptive yang. So if you know the chakras, they say the odd chakras, 1st, 3rd, and 5th, are masculine or penetrative by nature, and the 2nd, 4th, and 6th chakras are feminine or receptive by nature. So for the masculine, it'd be root, solar, and throat, which I think is a good combo. Oh, that's actually really good. And the feminine is sacral, heart, and brow, which all kind of deal with feeling. And that's why I think it's interesting that Brandon said about grounding himself with the masculine. That was like spot on. And then going out and like, being active and physical.
Oh, that's crazy.
But intending on it, I think, is a difference. Whereas instead of just... So some ways to tap into the energy. For feminine, tap in with the moon. Full moon, new moon, you can do a ritual, make a plan, decide something, intentions, pull some cards. You can also move your hips, dance, gyrate about in that area. That's the sacral chakra, so that's a feminine, thing that you'll get to move. Feel out, write about, or try to express your emotions. Let it come out. However, don't try to think it. The point is that you feel it and let it flow. Move with your intuition, or try to move with less structure. I think a fun one would be try getting into feng shui, or you might say like interior design of your own space. Though, like getting some like plants, moving things so the energy flows, like allowing energy to flow in the space based on how things are arranged there. And then you can take a bath with some candles, flower petals, bubbles, jazz, crystals, wink, wink. And the masculine, to tune into your masculine energy, connect with the sun, you feel me, the almighty. You can try a still meditation, focusing on your root chakra and being firm in your sense of self. And in that meditation, just try to have some clarity so you can create a plan or something like that. Like meditate to clear the space to have more room for doing masculine things, or meditate to be logical or something for the day or something. Be assertive, decisive, action orientated, have clear intentions. You can do something like if you say today I want to focus on my masculine energy, you can make yourself like a little checklist or a little goal list of things I can definitely do today. That'll help you plan it, check it off, and that shit. And then be firm with your boundaries. I think that's a great one for everyone to try. Set some boundaries and be firm with them. As we know, as soon as you set a boundary, the universe will try you. Is there anything y'all are thinking or feeling at this time?
Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Nah, you can go. I
still can't see you.
The ghost of Brandon is here.
I was just gonna say real quick that I thought it was interesting talking about like codependency and like getting your energy from the earth and not like from the other person, because that will leave you really energized when you're with them and then depleted when you get in a fight or when they're not around or whatever. And I'm actually currently watching Love is Blind,
Oh my
this
god, I
reality
just
show.
finished those 2 seasons and
Don't tell me the end of the last. I'm almost done. Almost done. But Jill, do you know what that is? Love is Blind.
Show?
So yeah, it's a
yeah.
show.
No, the E
And
song, Love is Blind.
no, it's not that. But essentially, they like talk through a wall so they can't see each other, and they're just trying to make a relationship off of that. And then they end up like proposing without ever seeing them if they feel ready to do so. And then they meet and like go on a honeymoon, and then they
What's the
live
wall
together
that
and get married.
through? They're in
What?
jail?
No. It's just like they're in separate rooms and they like have like ear like headphone thingies talking to each other or like a speaker or whatever. So like they're chatting, but they just can't see each other.
Oh, it's set up that way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I get
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like you build emotional connection without ever seeing the person so that you can't judge each other based off looks first. But anyway, so I'm watching that and then sometimes, they end up getting married and really being in love, and sometimes they like are not physically attracted to the other person, and then like there's this one couple that I can tell is just like totally like the girl is like clinging on to the guy for all of her energy and like security, and like I think maybe he's doing it back too. I can't really tell, but I'm like, this looks like kind of codependency and really, really toxic. So it's like, it's interesting reading the Celestine prophecy while watching this show because I'm like applying things and I'm like, wow, that is so poor me drama right now.
I did the same thing while I was watching that show. I was like, yo, I can see it now. I can see it.
Jill, now your homework is to watch the show. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's on
Is it
Netflix.
on Netflix?
Yes,
It
it is.
is.
You have
Wait.
to.
It's like a reality show or scripted?
That's reality.
It's reality, but they're always like prompted, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have 2 American versions, Japanese version and a Brazilian version. So you got plenty of options there.
It's crazy watching it. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say about the boundaries things that you were saying. Like, I feel like once you like can set clear boundaries, that like helps you stay out of your control dramas too. Because like you won't allow yourself to get that far, and then when you feel yourself getting past your boundary, then you're like, okay, I know I need to take a step back before I like play into what's about to happen before I get mad.
I feel like setting boundaries is so hard for me because I like with setting boundaries with other people because like I want to be there for other people so much that I don't want to make them feel let down if I like can't.
Yeah, isn't that like the what's that? What he just said? When people are like too attached, wouldn't they be like too attached to you now, so they're like sucking your energy out?
Yeah.
Codependent, but you
I mean,
can't
but
pour
it's hard.
into cup.
True. It's just hard knowing like exactly when to pull back and when to give. Sometimes.
I guess. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that would be like. I know what you mean. That's really hard because you want to give. I think that's when you have to like, okay, I'm not where I can be to give energy. So then you have to become almost like unapologetic in a sense, be like, hey, I just need a day to take care of myself. And if that person is supposed to be there for you, then they're gonna understand because they're not gonna be like, oh, let me drain this person completely, even though they just told me that they need. You know how we said to like relay yourself and not be like aloof, because then that creates the drama or something like that. Like I feel like if you like don't say, oh, I need this time right now, then they're gonna be like, oh, why is Danielle's energy shifted? Like she used to so giving, and you're like, I can't even give right now, so let me put you on pause real quick. And they're like, what happened? She did like so now they're pulling and that
Yeah.
becomes so I think it's just like being like loving yourself enough to just say, hey, I just need a break. Like
Mm.
I think that's what you're trying to say, right? Like
Yeah. I could talk to you more about this later too.
uh,
And are you receptive to people like if you're depending on someone, accidentally or whatever, and then they're like, "Hey, I need a little break." Are you taking it personal, or are you understanding like, "Oh, they need to go refill. Maybe I need to go refill." Like I think that has a good amount to do with how easy we are able to express it. Brandon seems like he's gonna log out again.
uh,
Um,
I still can't see him, so I don't know what's happening.
but yeah, I think that the more we come into a place of understanding when it happens to others, then we know, okay, now it's my time to take a step back and
That's a good point. I think I could probably be more understanding of others.
right, 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 right. Okay, so I did have some more notes that y'all just reminded me of. Um, I am seeing if Brandon is gonna make it back. He seems like he's trying to talk at the same time he's disconnected. There's something else I was gonna say. Okay, so yes, we need to learn to fill up our own masculine and feminine levels of energy that we need so we don't go seeking them from our parents or our partners in a controlling drama way. So how we approach other people determines how quickly we evolve. So you have to know when you meet people, you have to know, okay, I need to fill this person up with energy and, send them some energy because that will help give them clarity and help whatever message they might have for me to come through to me. And they're talking about how this part is like, I forgot the word they used. It's almost selfish in a way where it's like, I'm filling you up with the intention of it coming back to me, but I'm not hurting you.
So, like you said, filling someone up with the intention of getting the same back.
Or getting like for the example is like if you when you met that guy on the mountain, if you were some type of aloof, then I might not have walked down the mountain together. But because you were able to be open and oh, I don't know, maybe I know, but that's just giving the person energy. And yeah, we have to give them the energy and not, cower. But just being
Mm.
open and honest, that helps give the energy instead of like when you're aloof or something, now you're suck the energy from people. Oh God, Brandon, you kind of lagging. We're getting ad libs. I'm not mad. We're only getting some ad libs here and there. He's trying to leave and come back. I'm not. Oh, he looks like he did leave and try to come back. But I wouldn't know. I guess I gotta try to kick him out and invite him back. Um. Yeah. So yeah, but it's also like the same thing that they were doing in the conversation where it's like at least looking at the person and sending them energy, not being on your phone, ignoring them, just letting them kind of talk, but it's just like very intently. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and I might have something to say back, so I'm gonna be ready and alert for that.
is that kind of like what you say? It's like karma. It's like you put out that good energy, and then that good energy comes back, and then kind of stuff.
I can't say you're not either, man. But I can't.
uh,
We can hear you. We heard that. Yeah, it's like karma. It also reminds me of the Ankh. And I wanted to ask, what made you get that on there? Is there anything you can share about that?
a couple reasons. Not too long before getting it, I was a Black Studies minor, so I was getting really
Hey.
into African and Black Studies, and so I just felt like more connected. You know, I know that we all come from Africa, so I wanted to get connected with my super far back roots, and then the fact that it means life is important to me. So when I look at it, it's a reminder like that my life matters and is important, and it's right on that.
I think
This is the best. But the fact that it's on that, you know, big artery or vein or whatever it's called, you know, to is important.
Right, right. Nice. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Yeah, so at first we have to have our own energy up, obviously, to be able to pour into anything. We kind of started with that. You can't pour from an empty cup, but you can't have specific attachments or intentions other than, you know, trying to get a message. And then same thing if you cross paths with an old friend or someone we knew or someone who looks like someone we might know, we'll try to be open and positive. And if you see them again in a short period of time, you most likely someone wasn't open and positive enough. And don't match people's control drama. Try to call them out. This I don't want to be negative, but I do think the person has to be some sort of wanting to, because I've tried this where I've called people out, and because they didn't care to be called out or be aware of how they were, they got worse. So, you know, it's just like, hopefully you can leave in that moment or try to get out of that, you know, and then later they can reflect on it. But it's not always so easy to pull them right out of it. But try, you feel me? Try to don't max their energy, just try to say what they're doing and be a more passive calling them out, not an aggressive, hey, you're being mean. Like, hey, I think that you know, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. If you try to yell the question, like it's not really what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. That's gonna make them at least hopefully a little receptive. Yeah, I think that's about what I had. Oh, the crystals. Rainbow moonstones. That's your feminine energy. Moonstone, right? Any moonstones, you can use them. Put them by your windowsill. If you have somewhere safe, you can put them outside when there's a full moon or whatever. And let the moon's energy charge into the crystal. And then later you can take the crystal with you when you're doing your feminine things or tapping into your feminine energy. And then you have pyrite. Pyrite can help you tap into your masculine energy. Hello. It can help you get connected with the sun. You put it out on your windowsill when it's a sunny day. You let that sun, and then you take it along with you, and you're tapping into your masculine things. Of course, you can pick for masculine. You can pick a crystal that is red, yellow, or blue, and for feminine, you can pick a crystal that is orange, green, or indigo purple. But don't limit yourself. See how it feels. See how it all feels. Yeah. Any yogas coming to mind?
So I saw on that little chart thingy you had put heart and third eye. So, for the heart, I would suggest camel. That's one of my favorite poses.
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough one, especially like if you're just starting out doing yoga. But if you could start working towards it, it's a really good one. It's also a really deep back bend when you get into the full pose. And we can hold a lot of emotions in our backs. So I would suggest like doing a flow and this being like the kind of like climax pose or peak pose or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you essentially be on your knees with your feet behind you, and then you begin leaning back as if you're going to put your hands in your back pocket and opening up across your heart and reaching to hold onto your ankles while you're on your knees. Yes, exactly. So it's a deep back bend. It's a huge heart opener. Sometimes you might end up crying a lot in this pose. I have. But it's a really, really good one for the heart. And also for the throat as well. This and then for third eye, I would just suggest child's pose or shavasana again, and doing a meditation at the end of your flow in one of those poses. So child's pose, just like resting on your knees with your forehead on the floor.
Oh.
And shavasana, just laying on your back with your palms face up.
Yeah, probably after the camel pose. Am I right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I for whatever reason, I feel like I've never been in the yoga thing where they've done the camel. That's interesting. I gotta try that.
Definitely.
I would have loved to ask Brendan about trying to relate his art of healing into this. However, he's experiencing some Mercury retrograde level technical difficulties that I don't have any conclusion for. So, if there's nothing further from you, I think that about does it. We've got one more to go.
Wow.
It's crazy. Till next time, right? Okay. Love you.
Thank you.